So Facebook is considering implementing a payment feature to Facebook Messenger, and the feature would allow friends to pay one another in a similar way to Venmo by sending a payment message. How would you determine whether or not this is a good business decision? Hi everyone, I have my friend Sai here with me again today. Today we're going to be tackling a typical interview question that you can expect to see in a data scientist interview or even a data analyst interview in the late stages. So let's get started right away.
So first thing is, I do have few questions, clarifying questions that I would like to ask before I proceed with my solution. So the first thing is, what is the goal of adding this new feature? Is it to increase the engagement or is it to increase the revenue?
Let's say it's for engagement for now. Let's run with that assumption.
Okay, so it's for the engagement. And then the next question that I have in my mind is this feature optional or mandatory for every user? Because not every user might be willing to connect their bank details with the new feature because they have been using the other platforms. At first, at least, they might be concerned about security. So we need to consider that if it's a optional or mandatory option for them to opt or opt out.
It's optional.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual connection or the opting in of sharing of bank details is optional.
Okay.
But the feature is available for all.
Yeah, got it. Mm-hmm. So it's an optional feature. And then, okay. And will this feature be connected to marketplace or it's just between friends sharing, like sending or receiving money?
I see. So you're asking, is the payment available from friend to friend or is it available from friend to non-friend as well, right?
Yeah, or like if you connect it to marketplace, because what happens generally in marketplace is sometimes when we connect with the people in person, we give cash or like Zelle them or Venmo them. So if it's connected to marketplace directly, so they can make the payments using the Facebook new feature directly.
This is the P2P solution. So it's a person to person, ultimately. Whether it's in marketplace or not doesn't actually matter. It's more, should we enable payments between friends and non-friends, or should we just enable between friends? In my opinion, we should enable payments between non-friends as well. The only thing is, by enabling payments between non-friends, we also open ourselves up to unauthorized or fraudulent payments.
Yeah.
People can get scammed or spammed for payments, or any number of things can happen where nefarious actors can try to extract money from people.
Got it. Okay. So just for friends.
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say if we go for friends, you're limiting your scope to only people that know each other, have met face to face, and even in marketplace, I would need to add you as a friend. Today, I don't need to do that.
Okay.
So, there's one more thing that we can do, which is we don't enable payments for friends and non-friends. However, we do enable payments in a chat that is a marketplace chat.
Okay. So it's enabled only if you want to send the money?
Only if the chat was opened because a marketplace item was selected and the conversation was for that reason.
Okay.
Let's go with that one.
Okay, got it. So our goal is to increase the engagement on Facebook, and then it's an optional feature. And then coming to marketplace, it's enabled if the chat is regarding that reason, regarding the payments or the item that is being sold or something. And then I will be moving to the requirements or technical requirements or like assessing the requirements. So first thing would be, we all know that like Facebook is known for building communities. Now that we are getting it, adding a new feature payment, so we need to consider the technical feasibility also. Like, is it feasible or not? Like, do we have the infrastructure to handle the payments, or do we need to start from scratch?
Let's assume we have to start from scratch.
Okay, so then we need to integrate our gateways or like incorporate some secure payment methods that I'll be talking about in the solution. And then the next thing I would consider would be user experience. So it shouldn't be disruptive for the user, and then it will be part of the chart. Like, I'm assuming that there won't be any extra feature in the feed at the bottom saying pay, but then it's always between a friend to friend. So it's always in the chart. So it's so that it will be seamless.
Exactly.
Okay. And then compliance issues. We need to comply with all the financial regulations that we have in current policies. So just to make sure that we don't get any wrong feedback from the users or like friends. So because we're dealing with the payments and finances right now, we need to take care of the compliance issues too. And then competition. So as we discussed in the question that the main question is to another similar way to Venmo or Zelle. So what are we providing them? Is it different in terms of features from existing competition? So we need to let the users or the people who are using it know that you need not use Venmo or Zelle. You can use Messenger for paying. So why would someone do that? Because they have been using it from many years. So we need to consider the competition and then see what is something that we can offer and what is something that they can't offer, and then what makes their transfer process seamless or like more feasible or with more features or like making that work easier in a secured way. So we need to consider the security maybe that they are not offering and then Messenger is offering, and then some extra features that we can discuss in the solution that are not available in Zelle or Venmo. Okay, now that I have requirements and then
I'm kind of curious now. Given all of this, do you still think the goal should be engagement?
I mean, in a way, yes. Now that if you see, in a way, what I think is, if now the people who are using Venmo and Zelle might not have Facebook account.
Okay.
Now that we are including the payments in Messenger, and then if it's far better than Venmo or Zelle, we get users from Venmo or Zelle, and then they might create Facebook accounts, and then that increases engagement, and then ultimately a revenue would be the outcome of it. But then we also do get engagement here. Like people who aren't using Facebook tend to use Facebook more, and then people who are making payments and then who are not active on Facebook, they tend to use Facebook more because we make payments every day, but might not use Facebook every day.
I see. So your thesis is that by adding payments, more people will use Facebook on a daily basis?
Yeah.
You're also saying that by adding Facebook payments or the ability to pay in Facebook, you'll get new users who previously did not have a Facebook account. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a mix. So from what it's sounding, it's a mix of acquisition and engagement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So coming to my solution part, first solution, what I can think of is so research for sure, and then we need to understand user needs, and then different payment methods available. Like say, is it like bank to bank transfer, or like are we making maybe a wallet or kind of thing like Apple Wallet or Google Wallet, like how we can save money in wallet. So is it like bank to wallet and wallet to bank or wallet to wallet? So different payment methods, or if they can pay using the credit cards or debit cards. And then we need to do some research on how users maybe outsource the data and then understand their behavior before implementing the final solution. And then obviously security and privacy concerns that we need to consider during the research phase. And then also analyze, as I mentioned, we need to give something that Venmo and Zelle are not offering. That's when that's when we attract users from our competition to the new feature. So analyze the competition. So once we get answers for these, maybe we can start rollout.
So I'm curious, before we move into rollout, let's think through the existing solutions that are in place. We've considered Zelle and we've considered Venmo. What do you think is missing from those?
Yeah. What I have observed, like, to be honest, I come from India. So what happens with the payments back in India is there are like a lot more seamless. So Venmo and Zelle, what happens is you can send the money from person to person directly without entering a PIN.
Let's actually look at some of the payment platforms available in India. India is ahead of, I would say, a lot of the Western countries for mobile payments. What options do people have to enable person-to-person payments? What solutions are used today in India?
Yeah, one thing I would highlight is PhonePe. So you can transfer money from your account to account, or like you can transfer from wallet to wallet using the same app. You can pay your
Okay.
electricity bills, you can book your flight tickets, you can order food, you can book your train tickets, you can book your bus tickets, and then you can pay your Wi-Fi bill, and then you can invest in mutual funds using the app. You can start a business using the same app. So it's like all in one app.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful just to add between solution and rollout. Let's add competition.
Yeah.
So
Competition
for
from,
phone pay, you said phone pay, right?
yeah.
Okay. So that's the functionality available for them. So the ability to person payment from account to account. Can it go from account to wallet?
Yes.
Okay. Can it go from wallet to wallet?
Yeah, all kinds of transactions are possible. You can transfer to your loan accounts, or like you can pay your EMIs, and you can invest in stocks. You can invest in mutual funds. So
Okay. So let's not go there for now. Let's stick to person to person payments because that's what we're focused
yeah,
on. We'll limit the
yeah.
scope to this. Now, are there any other apps that people can use for person to person payments?
Google Pay.
Okay. How does Google Pay work in India? For person
It
to person.
also has, both of them have good competition, but then PhonePe stands ahead because of its advanced features and extra features.
I see. Okay. So Google Pay, this is interesting to me. Normally in North America, you're limited to Google Pay when you're paying for something during checkout, but not for person to person. There's no person to person payments available. Does Google Pay in India have person to person?
Yeah, you can transfer from
How does
bank
that
to
work?
bank.
Okay. Is there a reason that someone would use Google Play over phone pay for P2P payments?
Mm, I cannot think of any personal reason, but then the only reason I can think of is technical reason, but they might be having issue with creating PhonePe account or something. Apart from that, I don't see any reason for any person using Google Pay over PhonePe. Yeah.
So if you were analyzing data for Google Pay, just kind of like imagine yourself there, and you were asked to figure out why Google Play is underperforming against PhonePe, what would you do? How would you approach that problem?
My first instinct would be understand the users and then their feedback. So we get a lot of feedback from Google Pay. We might be getting saying that this feature is missing or this feature is missing, and then the security level, or like the customer support that we have. So I will go through all the feedback first, and then what the users are expecting, because we know that there's competition existing. So we need to understand what's missing in our app and what's something that they have, and then work on implementing those features, and then trying to say run an A/B test by creating 3 groups, like control users, or like a group with limited users, and then a group with limited features, and the group with advanced features, and then check the metrics, and then try to roll out one feature by one feature, and then see what's working, what's not working. And other thing that I see is, what I have observed in Google Pay is, what happens in India is every merchant, like see, if you go to a shopping mall, or like if you just go for having breakfast, you need not take your cards with you, credit cards or debit cards. You don't have to carry them. You just need to have your phone. It can be Android or Apple, because Apple has Apple Pay. Google Pays, you don't have to carry your cards. You can just carry your phone. You can just send the money from your bank account to the vendor's bank account directly, without the vendor or like the merchant having phone or anything. So they just have a QR code with them. So you just scan it and then send the money right away. So PhonePe is ahead in marketing that, but Google Pay is something that I've observed they haven't marketed well. So by incorporating new marketing methods, and then Google has now AI facility also. So by incorporating the new features in Google Pay, and then making it available to more vendors or merchants, we can increase the market of Google Pay.
I see. Okay. So let's take this back now to the North American market, which is Venmo and Zelle. I wouldn't even say North American, it's just US. So Venmo enables, let's go through the functionalities. Venmo enables, it only today it has bank to wallet payments. It doesn't actually, and as a user, you can authenticate further to enable wallet to wallet payments. But that's only with an additional verification that's in place. Like, I believe you need to have your social security number inputted into Venmo to enable it to act like a bank account, if you will.
Yeah.
So the primary use case for Venmo is really bank to wallet, and then wallet to bank. Like the end user has to actually transfer their funds from Venmo to their bank account. and cannot use them directly right away without additional verification from their wallet to pay for something. So it's really like unidirectional, if you will. Zelle, on the other hand, is a direct bank-to-bank solution. There is no wallet in the middle at all. There's no method of recharging. So given this, why do you think someone would prefer Venmo over Zelle if it has that limited functionality of bank to wallet and only bank to wallet? If money gets to your wallet, then you have to wait 1 to 3 days to remove the money and put it into your bank account. Otherwise, you have to incur a fee.
Got it. Okay.
So you can do wallet to bank. You can add another piece to your statement around Venmo, but funds in wallet incur fee to transfer to bank. Otherwise, there's a 1 to 3 day delay.
Okay. So whereas Zelle has only bank-to-bank transfer.
Yep. And the other thing is Zelle is not supported by all banks universally. Some support it, some don't.
Okay. And before analyzing why Venmo is better than Zelle, so I wanted to know, can we use the money in wallet elsewhere, or will it only be in the Venmo account?
It'll only be in the Venmo account. It can only be transferred to another Venmo user if the sender has put in their social security number and verified their account with Venmo.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like they have a more secured way to transfer the money and then more options to transfer the money. So is there a B2B transfer in Venmo?
No, there's no B2B functionality. You can turn on buyer protection, but the seller then incurs, I think, a 0.5% transaction fee.
Okay, I see a lot of reasons here. Like, I think the market for Zelle is only based on bank-to-bank transfers. But then if the person wants to transfer it more secured way, I see that there's a lot of verification in Venmo because there might be a lot of frauds happening on day-to-day basis in any country. So now that they have to add their additional security of social security and then authentication features, I think that's the reason why people are using Venmo more than Zelle. Because at the end of the day, security is something that we need to take care of when we're dealing with financial matters. It's not just about user experience. You might be able to transfer faster in an app, but then if it's not secure, users wouldn't be interested or like they wouldn't risk it with the money, because sometimes if there's a fraud of $10,000 and then the customer support is bad or like the security is poor, and then if it takes 4 to 6 months to raise a dispute and get back the money, it might change the course of the user's life depending on the situation. So
there's one thing that you stumbled on, which is good, which is disputes. So Venmo allows disputes. Zelle does not. Zelle is a one-way transfer. Once the money is gone, it's gone. It's on the onus of the sender to verify or authenticate the identity of the receiver. Technically, a receiver's account is a bank account, so it already has an SSN attached to it. However, it's still hard to tell if you're transferring to the right person. There's no middle party. It's just bank to bank.
Exactly. Users need to have option to raise a dispute because there might be fraud transactions, or like instead sending $60, you might send $600, and then the receiver who received money might not send us back sometimes, and then there are a lot of issues around this, and then fraudulent transactions. You need to have a dispute section for any credit card company or like say apps like Venmo or Zelle. Now that we know there's dispute option in the Venmo, so people can raise a fraudulent action and then wait for like 1 to 3 months or like more based on the amount or the situation that they're dealing with. So there's an option to get back the money. There's a hope for users so that Venmo might help them. But then when it comes to Zelle, they don't have that hope. Like, so once they hit the send and then there's no coming back.
Makes sense. So given all of this, what do you think will be the differentiating feature for a Facebook Pay service?
One differentiating feature that I think Facebook should add is while sending the money, say you connected your SSN, you connected your bank account, you gave all your authorization details, and there should be one more step while sending the money by putting a PIN at the end. Okay. Let's say you have your own personal PIN for you, like say 1234, but only you know it. You say tap on, like say I'm sending $50 to Chinmaya, and then I need to type that 1234 and then tap on send to transfer the money, because you might lose phone, your phone might be unlocked. Someone might unlock your phone, but then if they don't know the pin 1234, they can't transfer the money. But whereas what's happening now is, if the app doesn't have a lock, or if the phone is unlocked, if they're by using external resources, if they can unlock the phone, and then they can transfer the money from the phone that they found to another phone. If they had that pin extra layer of security while sending the money, this wouldn't happen, because only you know that pin, 4-digit pin or 6-digit pin.
But how would that be shared with the receiver? I mean, it'd just be sent in chat, right?
Yeah.
So how does that help the sender?
When he loses his phone, or like when some fraudulent action is gonna happen without his knowledge, the person who found his phone, or like who got his bank details, cannot transfer without that 4-digit pin or 6-digit pin. That's what will set apart Messenger from other competitors.
I don't fully agree, but okay. What else?
And the other thing that I was thinking, like person to person, right? So it would be like, say, when we're going out, the feature that I was mentioning in PhonePe, if the merchants, or like say, if the Facebook can join hands with Walmart, Best Buy, or like any like be it cloth industry or any industry that say movie industry, or like any industry, and then if they can join hands with those big payment companies and then make it accessible even when they go out, like say men don't have to carry their wallets, and women, they don't have to carry their credit cards in handbags or something. So if they can just use, everyone will be on Facebook, and then if the option is in the chart, they can send the money directly through their phone instead carrying cards everywhere. So you might lose your card during your journey. So there are a lot of instances. That's how fraudulent actions happen. You lose your card, and then you see $1,000 transaction next day in your wallet, in your statement.
Okay, I see.
So that's one. These are two features that sets apart Messenger.
I think, given all of this, would you recommend that Facebook go ahead with a payment type service?
I wouldn't recommend yet until we conduct a test and then see if the users are willing to use it or not. So we need to create a few metrics. And then, as we are discussing about the rollout, and connect a A/B test, 50% for control group without any feature, and then 25% with features like, I would recommend just like Venmo, and then the rest 25% would be with the extra features that we were discussing. And then we need to create few metrics like number of users, or like, but the primary metrics can be number of users using the payment methods, and total transactions per user per month or week. And then we can also see like how many transactions have been initiated but haven't been completed. So a lot of times it's like a draft. So if this rate is very high, that means that the users are willing to transfer, but then for some reason they are not completing the transaction. This is the metric that we need to focus more on. If they're not initiating, if they're not initiating at all, that might be that there's something wrong with the feature, or like we'll know with these two features. But then if they're doing these two, and then if they're not completing the transaction, that's a problem. The engagement is good, but then the success rate is bad. And then obviously the user feedback. The A/B testing can be done in 4 to 6 weeks. Or like depending on the number of users and the rollouts. And then Facebook's market is used. There are billions of people using it. So we need to test it for like proper amount of time before rolling out it to the 100% of users. User feedback, and then the users might say this feature is useful or this feature is not useful. And then we know if there's any fraudulent actions. So coming to fraud, number of frauds per month, or like based on location, also number of frauds happening in particular location, or like particular payment method. Let's say if the frauds are happening only when they use their bank account, frauds are happening only when they use credit card account. So that's when we know if they're happening only when they use credit card, we need to add extra layer of security or see what's wrong from the feedback, and then work on it. And then user feedback, features, payment issues, disputes, and I had one more in mind, security. Yeah, only when we assess all this for a group of users, like say 25%, and then see what's working in group A and what's working or not working in group B. And then if this is the one that has more user engagement and this is the one that has less engagement, we can roll out to everyone with A. And then if extra features are helping, and then if users are happy, and then if they're and while testing this, we also need to see number of users we are getting. Because Venmo doesn't have this feature. So if the number of users coming out of this group is way more than this group or this group, that means that this extra features is working because people are shifting from Venmo to use these extra features.
Okay. All right.
So these are the things that we need to keep in mind, like all the metrics.
Okay. So I think, let's do a little bit of a feedback session now, if you will. How do you think you did? How do you feel about this?
I think I did pretty well, given I was able to understand the problem correctly, and then coming to the features adding section, or like considering when it's a payment section, we need to consider from end to end, like how you develop the user experience, and then is it good or bad from the user point of view, and then from the company's perspective, we need to have good security, and then we need to follow the compliance rules also. And then whereas coming to a solution, we did talk about research, and then technicality, if the architecture is available, or should we need to start from scratch so that we can hire people who have payment background and then work on it. And then coming to business perspective, we were discussing about adding extra layer of security, or like having merchant transfers, and then how we can stand out from our competition, because that's what drives our revenue. It's always about being better than someone, but not like being someone. It's always should be like being better than someone. And then when rolling out, we did consider control group, and then sending it out to 2 groups, which acts like Venmo, so that we see if it's working or not. And then if we are getting more users, and then the people are happy with extra features, we know what to do. So all of the users will be getting extra features. And then we did discuss a lot of important metrics about number of frauds, and then if they have been initiated but then they're not completed, that's good and bad. So overall, I think I did pretty well on this, on solving this case study.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think generally during the case, I think you did a good job of identifying the goal, the different, going through the competition. I definitely like that. Let's start at the beginning. So I think goal-wise, I actually pushed you a little bit later down the line to rethink your goal, because I don't fully agree that this is an engagement problem. I think this is actually a acquisition and retention and resurrection ratio. So it's people who are users of Facebook are using Facebook. That's fine. But it's acquiring people. You stumbled on a good point, which was, let's get people that don't have a Facebook account to sign up for Facebook because payments is available. Number one. Number two is, you can also flip that and say, let's bring people back to Facebook who left Facebook, but now come back because there's payments available. That's resurrection. And then the final thing is retention. I think the question is more, how do you keep people from leaving Facebook to make a payment and make the payment seamless within the platform itself? Right now, if I buy something on Marketplace, I actually have to leave the app, go into Venmo, and I'm not coming back. That's it. You've lost me. So maybe just because you identified maybe something earlier on in your case or in your answer doesn't mean you have to stick to it. You are allowed to make a change. Okay. The second thing is, from a requirements perspective, not everything needs to be built in-house. So I would have liked to have also seen, can you use existing services that already do bank or identity verification that we can tap into? 2 of them that stand out are ID.me and Plaid. So Plaid is a connection service from bank to bank. It does identity verification and allows the users to share banking details with a third-party software entity, and they take care of all the secure storage of information. And the other thing is, I think one of the user pain points that you will encounter is people's lack of trust with Facebook. They won't want to give more information that they've already given to Facebook to enable such a thing. So how do you get around something like that? I would have also liked to seen a little bit of thinking on that side, like the identification. And I think you could have also actually enabled, before even building such a thing, I think I would have liked to have seen like some sort of survey or some sort of lo-fi rollout, a very bare bones service, and feedback on it to a small set of users. Ultimately, we don't want to build such a complex stack without knowing it can actually work. So I would have liked to have seen some sort of MVP development in the middle of this discussion and how you develop such an MVP. Then the other thing is on the competition side. So I think we stumbled onto one really good point, which is Zelle really doesn't have any identity verification service built in. It's up to the sender to determine the receiver is the right person. But Facebook has a huge competitive advantage because Facebook has all your information. They can determine with a high degree of certainty whether this person is authentic or not. Of course, you can create fake Facebook accounts and pose as somebody else, but there's more information that Facebook has about its users than any of these two platforms do. So how can we utilize that to give more peace of mind to the sender that they're sending it to the right person? Because you can't list an item on Facebook without having a Facebook account. You can't really have a Facebook account without providing your basic details to Facebook. And those basic details are what we can use to determine authenticity. The third thing is, and this is something I was hoping that you would stumble on, is today, no payment service allows people to make P2P payments using credit cards. And we know that, especially the US, is a credit society first. So people may not actually have money in their bank accounts or enough to make that payment. But if you enable credit card payments, and even partner with certain banks to enable a promotional period where if you use a Facebook Pay service to pay for something using your credit card, you won't incur a fee. So there are other also providers like Klarna or Pay Later Buy Now kind of things that you could potentially integrate into Facebook Marketplace. Ultimately, you're trying to take the merchant, so the business part of it out, because most people will use Venmo, of course, between friends to friends, but many people also use it to purchase things that are used or in a reseller market that doesn't have the markup, but they're not able to because those payment services don't enable credit cards. So actually, Venmo has gone around this problem by partnering with Amex, where you can fund your Amex account using your credit limit and make a payment through Venmo using that Amex amount. So all of a sudden, they've opened up a brand new market for themselves that didn't exist before. So in your solution, it's just really important to know how you differentiate from your competitors, what your competitors do, what your competitors don't do. Focus on the scope of the solution, meaning P2P only. We're not thinking outside yet, so not business to business or pay to business. And the last thing is, how do you integrate the concept of an MVP into your testing methodology as well in your validation? So I think, but overall, good interview. I think it went well. And I think finally, just one last thing that we should remind our audience to do whenever they have interviews is ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you start getting pushback from your interviewer and he or she says, move on, then that's fine. But don't be too afraid. Make sure you have full clarity on the problem scope. And if you're not familiar with something, ask questions. Meaning, if you're from India and you know their payment solutions, ask about payment solutions that are available in the States or in Canada or UK or whatever for that matter. If you're not aware, there's no harm in asking. Okay, cool. I think we're done. All right. Later.
Thank you, Chinmay, again.
Yeah.